So I charged the thing, and then I was listening to one of my live streams from yesterday that finally processed. The other ones are still processing. So apparently, this is the way that I can live stream. So it's not exactly live when you're viewing it, right? So don't even ask. Does beg the question how anyone was commenting as I was talking. I just well before when they said it was Rhode Island, I figured it was the military. Yeah, I figured it was the military. I think the processing is uploading it to YouTube. So far, they've all posted, from what I can tell, so they're not censoring it. Okay, because YouTube has all these things. It either has something to do with the bandwidth or it's YouTube, right? So it's just being uploaded after I actually do it. But I can talk for an extended period of time, so that's, I guess, a good compromise. I haven't turned the news on yet. That's about it. Good morning so far. Last night was pretty, that one's probably still processing. Just the sky last night, it's not look like that since we've been here. Yeah, so it does sort of explain the level of exhaustion. I don't know if anybody else is having that. Okay. Right. Well, we've been through this so many times, I think most people realize it's going to resolve and that it's not actually a virus. Okay. It's from ionizing radiation. So if you didn't take a 2 hour walk and then all of a sudden you went, I just feel like completely exhausted, like my lungs and stuff, and then you're sleeping and you've got like a little bit of a congestion or a cough. It's from the ionizing radiation. Okay. Yeah, definitely after last night's sky, the red in the sky, it's my understanding, indicates the amount of radiation. So there was a lot of radiation yesterday. Some days, like you, unless it has to do with cooling, you can see it. Okay, and not it wasn't there the other days. Um, in particular, I think when the air temperature is cooler, but the sun is blazing hot like that. Okay, so will it help to stay out of the sun? I kind of doubt it, but you won't feel as hot while it's going on. Yeah. I even laid down and took a short nap and then I went to bed, the typical time, I guess. I usually stay up later than him. He's still sleeping. Um, right. So it's helpful to take a walk, I guess, because then people believe it's from that and they don't get freaked out. Okay. Drinking enough water, eating carbs if you want to may help. Yeah, because it was concurrent right when I was kind of like eating better. It's taken this long to get to eating better because at first it's just easy. You just go hamburgers, hot dogs, and stuff, and then you just go, I'm going to stop buying chicken and eggs and vegetables. Once knew I could have a cooler that would maintain ice, I bought a couple of vegetables, yeah, because I'm usually bad with the vegetables and fruit. So it's just something about as soon as we got here, I know, and it's probably because we weren't straight on hamburgers and with rolls and hot dogs or rolls, right? I'm really not supposed to eat hot dogs. It's way too many nitrates, and they're artificial nitrates. So last night it was funny. Last night we had I bought chicken thighs because they were $1.99 a pound, and there must have been eight, 10 of them. There must have been 10 of them, so it was a big package. So I cook four for two people. So we've had chicken 2 nights in a row. We had two chicken thighs apiece the first night and split a can of black beans. And then last night we had two chicken thighs apiece and had fresh green beans because that's the vegetable he said he likes. He's not big on vegetables. So I got two chicken thighs left, and then the rest of the stuff I bought. I bought brats, which probably aren't the greatest thing on my dogs again. Because then he was sort of like, if we're getting this, should we get hot dogs too? That's probably like, I don't know if it's registering in his mind, he remembers, or it's just God going, she's really not supposed to be eating all that crap, you know. Um, so we ended. It was the cheapest stuff to get. It was all like on a clearance, and I didn't get any hamburger. I got ground turkey this time. I just really didn't care for the flavor of the hamburger. I noticed it wasn't spoiled or anything. It's just it doesn't taste like hamburger I'm used to eating. Yeah. So I kind of didn't get the frozen hamburger, but I do appreciate it being frozen like that. Most definitely. Um, well, for people that haven't brain deficits or something, it might encourage them to put it straight in the freezer. But eventually, they've got to get a calendar so they can write down when they bought food, how long it's been thawing out. Okay. Because they lose days. I remember that with Tom Kent. They literally lose days, and that was a frequent thing for him. His mother would start screaming at him he needed to cook that meat. And then he would argue back that he just put it there, and he didn't. It had been like 3 days. He literally lost days and times like that. So he had pretty severe cognitive problems, pretty severe. So at first, I remember when he was accusing his nephew of going down in the basement that he had set up a booby trap so he knew if someone was down there. He forgot he had been down there. Yeah, I was living with him. He forgot he had been down there. I've seen that type of thing before with someone else. And he completely forgot what day hockey was once and stuff. Yeah, just that's got to be sort of like weird. So it's difficult when people are doing that and they're angry all the time and they're not really aware of what's going on and they start thinking that people are doing stuff to them on purpose and stuff because they completely are losing it mentally. Yeah, that's when it's like they've got to be sort of like in housing and on an income and in a quiet environment and just because you just have to have like a really sort of laissez-faire attitude about it, which I tried to. I would have to believe that I at least helped Barbara Kent somewhat. Um, she repeatedly said that I did. So about a couple of different things. So it's just, well, just go day to day. Sometimes consider that a blessing. It's not something you can control, so it's better to not really like complicate your life and keep testing yourself mentally and stuff. So that might be why she stopped reading the Bible and she thought I told her to stop reading it. Like it may have been, like been in a I don't remember specifically talking about the Bible, but God may have suggested to her that it was bothering her. Because she felt that she was sort of like an academic on the Holy Bible. She had read it cover to cover and all that stuff, right? And she clearly was mixing up scripture and stuff. So once she caught herself doing that, it probably freaked her out. And then someone like that might start thinking that the devil is doing it to her, like they become frightened. So that's why she had to stop doing it. And she probably just couldn't understand words and stuff anymore. Yeah, so why keep showing yourself that? Oh, so this is what I was going to say, but the live stream really wasn't working last night. I think in the conversation yesterday, that's the type of thing I want to be able to do in terms of you don't have to have like this big formality of like you're in a courtroom, you're at the doctor's office, but just so and then do you remember when we were talking about this? Okay, because he specifically said that's why you control the money because I can't control spending. I just spend it on stupid stuff. He specifically said that. Okay. So that's good to have when they forget things or other people don't understand what's going on and they become intrusive. Okay. Because what you're doing is you don't understand the person's mental state and that you can make them confused and you can actually harm them. Because at times he will just listen to other people, then go into that mode and forget everything he's supposed to be doing. So if you could not do that, that would be great. So I still have the notarized POA in my storage. So I felt it was important for him to call Volunteers of America back for certain reasons because I don't know what their attitude is. Okay. And it's difficult for me that people cannot mentally reason or diagnose a person who has mental illness and is mentally incompetent. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, like I don't know if they just don't want to do it. Right. Just you have to go, okay, so the person can't control his spending. He doesn't bathe or wash his clothes without assistance, and he doesn't cook. Okay, but you think he's mentally competent? Okay. Anyways, he doesn't. No, he doesn't think that. That's why he signed a POA. Okay, so he was talking about there was an edible arrangements across the street from the grocery store, and because he's told me this before, that when he got in fights with his ex, he would buy her things. Okay, so well, apparently um, they were fighting a lot. It's not even a real relationship that ever should have taken place. He said in the hospital he completely regretted it finally, and that he wasted so much of his life on that. So that was good. That was a good step. Um, Obviously, when they're mad at you, they can do some backtracking on what they said, but that still seems to be sort of like in the thoughts. And then part of it is unfortunate, just like that, because it's still triggering memories, right? For me, it's difficult to understand, but I'm not in that brain, okay, where um, it's got to be some sort of letting go of like a life or something, like the whole concept of having a family, and that's tied to your youth and your mother and your father and your brother and stuff. Not it's really about that person. Okay, so they were fighting a lot because they couldn't stand each other. Obviously, you work in separate shifts and you don't have any children. There's no reason to be doing that, but avoiding each other. And they're fighting all the time, and then you're drinking and you're doing heavy drugs, and then you bring a friend in and she starts going out with him, and then supposedly he finally got her out of the apartment because he was probably grossed out and didn't want to be with her anymore because they were engaging in sex acts all the time. And then and just the whole nature of the relationship was clearly disgusting, where they'd constantly check out other people and she was bisexual and stuff. Like the whole thing is just disgusting, grooming, and two people that are victims of child abuse growing into adulthood becoming like creepers themselves. And then he tries to maintain the apartment. He brings one of his friends in and he loses his apartment. Okay, so I'm sure some of it was probably spending all your money on drugs, but I think some of it is mental incompetence. Right? I can't fathom him cooking his own food and cleaning his apartment and washing his clothes and stuff. So that really, if she was doing that stuff, it really wouldn't be apparent until she left how bad it was. Also, yeah, when you're depressed, um, but it's something like he was 13 when he started. The parents set them up because clearly they're disgusting, 13 and 14. And then he also told me recently that the foster mother tried to put a stop to it and they were sneaking around still seeing each other. Okay, so apparently the foster family did try to put a stop to it. They knew it was wrong and disgusting. Okay, so sneaking around becomes exciting and something you do when you're a victim of child abuse, yes. That's what happens to people sometimes because the predator is having you sneaking around. So that becomes normal. Also, they ingrain in you that no one understands and they're against you and they're jealous and all this stuff. Right. It's all part of grooming. It's a very insidious thing. So, yeah, why don't you do that with me? He probably doesn't feel he has to. And because, yes, sometimes you do have some money, but you typically spend it on yourself. Or like you might spend it on tobacco or something like that. Yeah. But clearly, you don't need to do that with me. It's a different relationship. So, um, yeah, you got to have more than just things in writing, even if they signed them. You got to have videos. And then you've got to occasionally just have little conversations on camera about daily events and stuff. Hey, oh, yeah, what campground was that? He doesn't remember. So, right, you weren't drunk at the time. Okay, but you don't remember when we were at Site 30 at Harold Parker and it rained for 2 days straight? Okay, that's fine. I gotta put this down for a second. So that's one of the good things about this site, like I said, because the bath, I'm looking at myself, the bathroom is literally right there. So at nighttime, the lights stay on, so it never gets completely dark here. So if I wake up in the middle of the night, I just go right there. Well, when you're out in the woods and it's pitch black and you're not near the bathroom, obviously you just pee at a tree because no one can see you and it's urine. So it's got to be one thing or the other. Like you've got to, right? That's the issue when you start having campers around you and you're in non electric sites and they put up these big, huge lights. Did I get a chance to go over that? I don't know if they were solar powered. It looked like they taped a bunch of lanterns together and stuck it up on a pole, but it was like actually putting light right where we were. And the bathroom was kind of not near us. Yeah, like I like that. I like it because it gets pitch black. You just step out of your tent and pee if you have to go at 3 a.m. It, they were walking down the street with those lanterns. You go, why don't you just pee over there? Yeah, like they had a bunch of like youths. Maybe they were afraid of the dark. Yeah, if you're afraid of the dark, don't go to the Y section at Wampatuck. It's pitch black. That's why I like it. That's why people want non-electric sites because that's like traditional camping. It's okay if you don't like that, but there's other places to do that. Like yesterday, I'm walking through here. They literally made a parking spot in a campsite. I just went, yeah, I got to make sure people like me don't come here. Yeah, because you'll flip out. Could you imagine Ted Kaczynski coming here? This wasn't even going on when he flipped his lid. Just, it doesn't make you insane to flip your lid, by the way. Yeah, we're past 2013. You can't be doing that, but you just go, what the? It's exactly what I said. I don't know if anyone heard me because I didn't mean it. Like, I just went, what the fuck is this? Ay, ay, ay. You gotta ask them why they did that. It's tar. They literally tarred, like, there was at least two of them over there. It's not even just that packed down stuff. It's literally a parking spot. Just imagine, like, if you've ever been camping, the little cleared area with the picnic table and the fire pit and the trees, and you just put a tent on the ground. The new thing is they put all these rocks down. Apparently, that's what some people wanted because they probably drive and use the air mattresses and they have trailers. I don't want that. Yeah, what happened to the pine cones and the leaves and stuff and dirt? That's all we want. We don't want it packed down. We don't want packed down rocks. So they literally tarred the campsite because the campsites are not humongous either, just so a person could drive a trailer in it. That's when Almighty God sends an F5 tornado to tore it right off the ground. Okay. And then I don't know about a forest. I've seen it, that type of thing in Florida where you become not as panicked because once you stop using those trimmers, it only takes about a year for stuff to grow over it. But I don't know about tar. Yeah, I don't know about a forest. But then, yeah, an F5 tornado is pretty pinpoint. That's why they call it the hand of God, where you just go bloop, there goes your parking spot. Bloop, there goes your parking spot. Obviously, it's almighty. God's gonna fix it somehow because you wonder how long it takes a tree to grow. But I mean, I'm here for all eternity, so yeah, you just waiting. So just imagine taking people like me, not just me, but people like me, and forcing us to live in a city like that. Okay. And then you're wondering why everyone's just dragging around and oh my God, look, they 2 days, the same clothes and stuff. Are you kidding me? Like, I think that you tell yourselves it's because we don't have money. It's not because we don't have money. Okay, just a reminder in 2011, I got rid of all my stuff. I walked away from my house. I gave away any money I had. It's not because we don't have money. Okay, now we're trapped in your horrifying, abusive insanity because of your monetary system. We're all trapped in your adultery, not we're adultery. I believe that some of the reason there's a basic income is because these evil people are being tricked into proving that nobody can, and we're all adulterous too. Whatever. Whatever. I don't see the point of buying a house, by the way. Say that you got a windfall, because this is the other thing I was explaining to Brian. When you denied me Social Security in 2018, you basically stole another $72,000 from me. Because after that, then you got it in your heads that people aren't going to get retro anymore. Because I'm all over Facebook saying I'm going to start a program of walking where I walk homeless people around that want to. And then at the end of it, I get them boots and gear and we go to the Grand Canyon. And then you put the gavel down. And then you outlaw it. Just like you got to make sure I don't get alimony or his Social Security to quote, do God's work in a horrifying madness. So, anyways, they used to get a little bit of money because it took so long to get through Social Security. I would not buy a house. I contemplated something like that because I was like, if I get it, what? Like, is that enough to get like a teeny? Because I'm thinking about my husband at this point. That's exactly what was in my mind when I was doing that, to make sure that he's cared for after I'm gone. So I don't have children anymore. They're all adults and they're in somebody else's care. And presumably they're surviving on their own since they haven't contacted me. Okay. So I have a husband that I have to have a concern about because of our age difference in my medical condition. So I was sort of like thinking that, and then I was like, all he'd have to pay is the taxes if he was getting Social Security or whatever. And then I was like, they'll just take that right from us, just like my house, right? So I don't know if a lot of people like me would actually even consider buying a house after what happened. Um, at any given time, they can take your house. Clearly, it used to be different. Yes, it used to be different. So it's almost like you're safer to just be in one of those apartments or get the trailer on the lot type of thing. Yeah, especially if you're renting it. Say it's like a thing and you're renting, you can put your trailer there, but you're like basically paying rent for the piece of land. That's probably the safest thing to do right now. Because I'm telling you, the second they think that you've got something, they're going to take it from you. Okay, so the only other thing is if they let people camp out west year round and then you pay the small fee or they give out vouchers for that. That would be a separate entity. That's not HUD. That would be the people that run the national parks. And then it really is clearly not your effing business because it's a housing crisis. It's easy to handpick people. Like I said, a park still has rules. If you violate them, one of them is you cannot drink alcohol. Okay, so that eliminates a lot of the problems. Um, and generally, people that are doing like bad things, they would get ousted for something else because they do other bad things, like they're dirty. That's the other thing I got to stop looking again about the trash on this particular campsite. That there was cigarette butts everywhere when we got here. So it doesn't help that we smoke. You got it. So that when we leave, people think we did it when we do not do that. Little straws. We don't drink little juice box straws. No, that would be the precious children with the little juice box straws. And the parents are not putting the little plastic things in the trash. Oh my God, you just said bee emergency and that bee just landed on the table. It's so funny. She giving us like the devil symbol. Well, now there's nothing, so it just becomes what I'm talking about, I guess. Yes, check the weather. It seems like it's probably going to be in the 70s, same as yesterday. The sky looks clear. I haven't checked it though. Yeah, I think when I first started this, I was like, how would we get people if they had a question about something? Okay. Don't forget it's wit, what I think. This is when it seems severely grandiose, but honestly, don't you feel sort of like more reassured when a person seems like that? Okay. So if you're the type of person who gets like annoyed at that, maybe just not listen to me. I'm not here for you. Okay, because I don't know if you really want someone who's wishy-washy and stuff when you really want to like know what I think about doodle bops and my species and God's plan and the Holy Bible and what's going on the planet. Some people aren't used to hearing that from a female. Too bad. Um, that's how God does it. I mean, I don't know what you would expect. Um, what did you come out here to see? A reed shaken by the wind or a prophet? If we're at the end times and people are terrible, is the prophet going to seem like they're happy with the shit that you're doing? That's a good question about why are things bad like that. It's sort of like one of those things where I like not sure if I'm just sort of contemplating or God's directly telling me, but what happens is over time you can see if that rings to be true or it comes up again and again and again that that was God telling me. Hopefully that makes sense. It's not a thing about, so you don't know. No, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Okay. That's not what a prophet is. So, I guess right now, I think, but it's not sort of like a conclusionatively thinking, that it would make sense that in order to be ready to transition into something else and give up what you've been doing, that it would be terrible. That seems sort of like, say you were at the terminal cancer and it's just at the point where you're suffering at that point, and so you just, there's no other route and you're ready to go, because it would be more sorrowful if everything was going good and then there would be all those tormenting yourself with what ifs, we did this and we could have done that but we didn't do it and stuff. I think it's good to know that God has a plan, intelligent design, and you just were not in an everlasting kingdom. That some species like to go to different things when you get bored. And then other species either don't get bored like that or just it wasn't the time for us to begin doing things differently. Clearly, it's debatable if we've ever and how long it's been since we've been able to just live how we want to live. Okay, so I think worrying about that right now is, I don't, if you were asking me, no, I don't worry about getting bored. Um, Always try to stay aware and conscious of a mixed brain and a mimicry in the world that you just lived in. Memories fade. You become more comfortable in what you're doing. When stuff's not available and not in front of your face, there's nothing to sort of miss. Um, we can still do things that people like to do, all of the physical activities, um, theater, music. It has to do with being in tune with the environment, living in an ecosystem where you, I would feel that you have just not the urge to have all those artificial things. They bother you. You prefer natural products and things, and then you're also, you have a thinking mind, so you know that that just leads to terrible things. You know why you don't do it. the housing structures at first I thought we just completely weren't going to live in houses. And then I went, okay, all of these people are going extinct. I don't know. I don't know, but it would only be wood, and eventually wood deteriorates and falls apart. Okay, so I would assume the breeding will change, and one of my sort of like fairy thoughts was that you're not always going to be with your mate. Okay, instead of just being infertile, you would be sort of both the same sex, or you just wouldn't meet each other that life cycle, and you'd be doing other things. Once you are not in a time restraint where you're worried about doing everything because you know you just cycle, you really are not going to be. It's sort of like when you're 10 or 12 and you're not really worried about retirement. Okay, so when you're in a life cycle and you're 50, you're not really worried about it. You don't get to a point when you're 50 and go, I never had children. I didn't have a husband, like, because it's just part of your life. It's not sort of like you went past a point in your life where you can't do something. It's just, I'll do that next time, and you just streamline into next time. I never got to go to California. Like, how am I going to get to Fiji? You just be born there. So it's sort of like when you take a summer vacation, except then you're just born over there, and then you're at Fiji for your life cycle. Oh, tractor trailer over. It's a little chilly. Oh yeah, it's 60 right now. I forgot yesterday that I bought light cream, so I'm having it now. Oh yeah, that coffee creamer stuff is horrible for you. Horrible for you. It's instant coffee. Brian and I would now we who knows, maybe we're going to be able to camp. Yeah, maybe we're going to be able to camp because things are sort of dawning on us now that didn't before. Like, couldn't we just pour water through a coffee creamer with coffee grinds in it? Isn't that exactly what those coffee makers do? Yeah, they don't. It's not or a percolator. That's real coffee. That's the best coffee because it's nice and hot. Those little metal things. Yeah. Well, this we got for the city because in the city you can't be doing that. In a campground you can. You just light a fire and put it on it. Yeah, I know because I wouldn't even be cold right now when we went camping with just the bread pan. I'd have to light a fire to make my coffee, so it works out. And then you also have some water for your little bit of dishes. That's what I was doing. Yeah, I don't really have a comment about the deadly shootings. Still sending children to school, but I mean, that's what you guys do. So things have sort of like evolved over the past 5 to 10 years about things I was saying that probably is still true to either my species or the other species that wants to protect their children from a deteriorating world, right? Because they can homeschool. Well, had more people gone to the homeschooling, it would sort of point out to the other fraction of your species to make them ponder and think that maybe they shouldn't be having all those children. Because everything is about what other members of your species are doing and what's acceptable and makes you seem like a part of the group and stuff. And they'd be like, oh, like, yeah, like most people are homeschooling now. So that's why we just have one school in the town and stuff like that. Like if it was actually happening. And then they would go, oh, and then they'd feel weird. Um, So that would hopefully begin to discourage having so many children. Not everyone is me. They really would go mad in a house with 6 minors. They've told me. So that's why they have one and then they work. It's good to know that about yourself. That doesn't make you a bad person. It becomes bad when you just keep having them and you know that you're not enjoying it. You're always stressed out. You're always disciplining them. You're always trying to get away from them. You're always talking on the phone, stuff like that. You might be telling yourself that you're somehow like a super mom or you're holding it together or super dad or whatever, but no, you're not anxious for them to go back to school. You don't put them in summer programs. Like just you have your own summer program at your house. Like all of that stuff that you send your kids to do, you do it yourself. You'd go camping, um, you would garden, you would set up crafts and stuff. Like what is going on that somebody else has to do that? It seems like an excuse to get a break. Okay. Well, get a break from producing more of them, please. I'm helping you. If you're with someone else, contemplate in your mind if that person left, would you still want to keep doing that? My situation was the guy was always working. I didn't have children with an unemployed person. Um, and so, yes, it would have been kind of really bad if he was there all the time. Right. So it really came down to that person paid all the bills. And some of that should have been really obvious when I booked a trip up here. I think it was a week or two. Like all of it. I took 6 minors to Massachusetts on an airplane. So you think all that luggage, everybody thought everything what Al was doing, anything. All he did was make money. That's all he did. In terms of parenting, yes, that's all he did. And then, what was it, once a year when they had to build the ecosystem, he helped them with that. I was at the point where I started ironing their uniforms because they were all in school. I was used to 6 kids in 7 years, including a set of premature twins. So if you don't know anything about children, just imagine all that diapers, breastfeeding. Unfortunately, there was some bottles at the end because of the preemies, sippy cups, cleaning, homework. They were in activities at one point. They at one point in time they were in soccer, Girl Scouts, and CCD. Is that it? Yeah. Then I got 3 Shorty Jacks, the most hyper dogs you can get, other than standard Jack Russell Terriers. None of that was bothersome to me. I wanted to get away from the dude. None of that was bothersome to me. I wanted to get away from the dude. Just like none of this is bothersome to me. Right? 4 hours is a little bit much. 2 hours with ice and food is a little bit much, and it's way too much for him. Right? That's way too much for him. Um, but the rest of it, that's why I said Wampatuck was fine. Harold Parker was fine because it's an hour each way to the store. Um, all of it, gathering wood. I'd even be chopping wood if I had a hatchet. Fires. There's not really anything to clean. You're in a campsite. Okay, just setting up a tent, taking down a tent, washing clothes out. It's really, really a simpler life. Yeah, like right now, you'd have to build a fire. Yeah, that's when it gets colder. I don't know what they do in those year-round campgrounds with the trailers. Are they still allowed to have fires? Yeah. Um, it's been a long time since we've had to sleep outside in the cold. I know it is just that. That's why I don't want. I'm listening to yesterday's live stream this morning, going, yeah, I needed that because today's Thursday, so now it's less than a week, and you just and you can feel like the chill in the air, and you just like, oh, it's not about being here, it's about having to leave here, and you just go, oh God, you know. Um, I think it was like November when we left the stairwell the first time, and then I was in the shelter from November to March 5th, and then we went back outside. We went to the warming center, which opens on December 1st. And I knew at the time, I was like, oh my God, yeah, like this must be like hell on earth between December 1st and March 5th, because it was pretty bad for a couple of weeks. It was freezing and it was raining, and you have to stand there for 2 hours. I know that the Cambridge police was talking to us, and I don't know if they did come up with something different about people are given numbers. And so you don't have to wait out in the cold. You just basically stay at a library until the last minute and then go in at 7 o'clock. Like, why are we standing for 2 hours in the freezing cold and the pouring rain when it's raining? But just imagine January. You can't keep yourself warm. You're just standing in a line. I was like literally trying to jog in place, and that was in March and April, probably mostly March. Yeah, just the whole thing is a madness. Get it? Right. That is why I told you, but you didn't listen. Okay. Right. Sometimes you're told things. That's what a prophet does. I told you, and I thought I posed it as, could you do this? Okay. To close the South Shore Plaza and put people in there to sleep. What? So your president is seeking the death penalty because what it is you're murderously insane. Okay? There's no excuse for any of it, but that you're murderously insane. It goes like this too, just because I know me, so it doesn't mean there's not other people. Since November of 2011, have you given out one single public housing unit or one housing voucher within the United States of America? Just yes or no, have you done that? Okay. You're murderously insane. The 19-year-old that you gave an apartment to, did her mother live in a house? Okay. Why was she not just told to go back to her mother's house? You're murderously insane. Which, by the way, her grandmother's house was the house that you said that I could be in, but her own grandchild shouldn't be there. She gets her own apartment. You're murderously insane. Okay, so it's supposed to be seven. Ooh, 48. Was that last night or tonight? That could be why I'm chilly. It's gonna be 78, so it's gonna be it'll warm up. But yeah, tomorrow morning definitely I'll get up and do a fire. Yeah, I know now we're all like, we should have got eggs and butter. Like we're like really getting like into it now, right when we have to leave. It's awful. French toast, this, that. I know my sister's neighbor, that's her friend. She stayed at that Normandy Farms, and she told me it was exorbitantly expensive. And I looked it up and just went, who is actually doing that? Who is actually doing that? I know, because don't you want to know if someone is actually paying for that and they're not telling us that? Do you get what I'm saying? I just can't see having money and you're spending that much money like that. Why wouldn't you just buy yourself a piece of land? Yeah, that just seems like I don't know what that is. I don't want to get people mad at me. Have you looked at that to see how much it is? That's a campground needs a swimming pool. I just, what is that? A campground has a pond or a lake in it. Why would you need a swimming pool at a campground? That's a Florida beach vacation. Seriously, a campground has a swimming pool? You know what had a swimming pool? My house. That's why your president is not only seeking the death penalty, he's giving you the death penalty, in my opinion. He's giving you the death penalty because he knows that you illegally forced me and my children out of our home and then you refuse to give me alternate housing. So you're getting the death penalty. So you can talk about that amongst yourselves, like the guy from Saturday Night Live, and I don't care about any of the excuses that you make up in your own heads about it somebody else and you got a system and a paperwork and this thing pushed it back and I don't care. I'm just letting you know per reality within your system. He just said it on TV. Oh, he's talking about this guy. Okay, yeah, he's talking about this guy. So, what did this guy do? What did this guy do? Do you do that stuff too? So, if he's going to get the death penalty against that guy, he's not getting it against you. So, anyway, in my opinion, he is giving you the death penalty. That's just one example. Okay, because he knows that I was in a house. The house was purchased in 2006, and in 2008 and 9, it was paid off by me. I paid off the banks, okay? And then you still foreclosed my house. You actually used DCF to get me and my children out of it and took my house. And then you sat on my house for what, 2 years and then sold it. And you refused to give me other housing. Okay? So you're getting the death penalty. You also refuse to give me dental care, eyeglasses, and medical care when it's universal health care. So you're getting the death penalty. You've repeatedly lost my mail, shuffled my address around, um, told the judge in Dedham that I'm just ignoring you. So you're getting the death penalty. I listen to people when they talk. The judge knew that I had no idea I was supposed to go to court. He knew I wasn't lying. So you're getting the death penalty. You shuffled mail around and knew I wasn't getting it, and then you used a judge to shut off my money. So you're getting the death penalty. You literally had a judge issue bench warrants for me, which shuts off my money. You did it on purpose. So you're getting the death penalty. That this is wit. This is what I think. Yes. So if you weren't in the court all the times I've been there and listened to the prosecutors, the defense attorney, and the judge, then you don't know, do you? You just keep going, I'm crazy and I'm dangerous and that why would anybody do that and why and what do you mean and da da. I'm just telling you what I think. He said egregious shit and you actually agreed with it rather than going, what? He said that it's not Dedham's problem to house me and it's not Father Bill's problem to house me. And you sat there. It was someone from Father Bill's, it was my caseworker, who had me in shackles because she drove all over the place because she was going to be my personal friend, and we were late for court because of her. Okay? And they know all that. How did you get here? This is my case manager from the shelter. She said she was going to drive me here. We left the shelter at this time in a shelter van, and we're just getting here now. That's not something I did. Okay. And then the judge is saying, Dedham doesn't have to house me and Father Bills doesn't have to house me. And this woman thinks all of that's normal. It doesn't matter now because it's about to end in about a month and a half. But just as a reminder about what happened in 2023, where I was told I was on pretrial probation. Okay? No court date was given. I had a lawyer that completely ignored what I said. It's not the lawyer I had this time. Completely ignored what I said, made threatening things towards me, and didn't explain anything to me about what she was doing. She literally tried to get them not to do the 15A, which is a mental competency, but her whole case was I had some sort of mental problem and that's why it happened. So the judge said, no, she's having a 15A. She tried to get them not to do it. Okay, so that shouldn't have made any sense. But anyways, he knew that something no one told me. He knew that I did not know that I was supposed to go back. Even my therapist at the time thought that the whole thing was done. She didn't present anything to me in the file until after everything was done, that lawyer. Anyways, I think she wanted to turn it into some theater. She wanted to do this big, huge thing like I'm in nuts. That's my opinion of that one. The other one wasn't doing that. Yeah, I'm not saying their names, just like I don't tell you who my Social Security judge is. Yeah. I don't want to imply anything about, and people do things that are out of my control, so I don't want people going and then trying to influence stuff because that's inappropriate. You just got to let the thing go. Um, yeah, I don't want to seem like, yeah, it's not about that. I got a lawyer, I got medical records, and a judge has a brain in his or her head. I'm not even going to tell you if it's a male or a female. So I'm not an expert in the law. All I can do is give testimony, and then obviously I have opinions about things. Some laws you can look up. That's how I knew what pretrial probation was. She didn't even want to do that, by the way, the first lawyer. Right? She didn't even want to do that. She literally wanted me to get a psychiatrist. Like she thought she was in a Social Security case, in my opinion. She wanted me to get a psychiatrist, and like we go to trial and all. Huh? Like I don't get what this is. This is assault and battery, right? Like, yeah, just she couldn't. I don't think she could realize how outrageous the entire thing was. I don't think she could realize that, or she was going to turn it into her personal venue, like she's in the Karen Reed trial. Yeah, like a theater show. That's my opinion of the first attorney. If you want to put on an acting show, then you hire actors. I've been through enough. You just go, whoa. I mean, I can definitely see now why she didn't want me to just plead guilty to it. But in the end, it didn't make any difference. Like maybe she was in a denial about it too, where you go, it wouldn't even have mattered if it's on her record or not. You're really not getting it. But that worked as a good excuse for 6 years, right? Okay, that's not why. And you'll find that out after October. It probably helped people remain calm for a certain amount of time, where they until they can come to grasp about what everything that's going on. Where you go, yeah, okay, it must be that because something's on a Corey. It's not even on a Corey. Maybe you should run a Corey on me and see if it's on there. I told you I tried to look up the cases; they don't even show up. It's not that, but if that helped, keep you calm and give you comfort for 6 years, it is what it is now that it's over. Assault weapons offense, I told you that about 15 times. That's what it said. Assault weapons offense. Well, it's sort of a war on humanity in a sense, but yeah, it's a war on homeowners. That's why I chastise the short that someone made about what happened was that they gave mortgages to people that couldn't afford them. That's not what happened. Okay, that's not what happened. We were affording it just fine. That's not what happened. Like you missed the part about how they stole people's pensions, their 401ks, and fired everybody. You missed that part of it. Not we couldn't afford the mortgages we had. It goes like this, folks, if you're asking me in terms of God and the people involved, if they didn't understand why they were doing the things they were doing, like the your politicians, okay, and your news media. If you were just told in 2008 that a group of people started attacking US citizens in our houses and forcing us out of them, what would you have done? Okay. You can't war here. That's why before you had a civil war and now you're having a civil war. Okay, that is what a civil war is. When animals lose their mind and they go out to try to attack and kill you, God puts them in a containment of your system, and it's called a civil war. That is why they will try to use certain laws. They'll use DCF, animal control, um, the Board of Health, like Aaron Carter explained to you. And when none of that works, they just straight out do criminal stuff and attack you. Okay? Because there's no stopping them doing it. It's like a ape clan that just is attacking trees like in that video of them at the fig tree. And they're tearing babies apart and they're raping the females. That is exactly what they've done. Sometimes they get angry and snippy because God's containing them and they can't do anything. So it makes them really uncomfortable and mad. I'm like shaking. I'm so cold. I usually have a different shirt on too. I know that you're probably sitting there going, why don't you just light a fire? I know, I'm a little bit lazy. Yeah, he is not going to want to get out of bed when he wakes up to how cold it is. He doesn't putter around like I do. Yeah, I'm always warmer in the morning, and then I have coffee and I'm smoking, and I'm, yeah, maybe standing up again. But yeah, especially a traditional fire pit solves that problem. Yeah, you're not cold in front of a fire, so maybe I will start a fire. No, it's the sun is coming up and it's gonna warm up because I'm like, is he gonna just stay in the tent all day because he's cold? Well, the good news is that ice should last a while. I ended up getting the 8 pound bag. I wanted to get the 15 pound bag, but Brian was right. But that would have only been like a day or two that everything wouldn't have fit in there. Yeah. So, I'm still kind of vacillating about trying to stay camping. I just don't want to go back to living on the street. But I do have to return the Chromebook, and he has an appointment on the 10th that he has to keep, and it's going to be weekly. Yeah, and it only goes till October 12th. So it's about, what, 5 weeks from the 4th that we could keep camping if we had the funding for it. Yeah. I wanted to stay at Wampatuck, and then I found out that their non electric site's closed because there's no way that someone booked them all for the rest of the time. So they clearly closed them on September 1st because we can walk to the bank so I can deposit money to pay for the campsites, and we can walk to the store, and we can get to the train so he can do his appointment and then come back to the campsite once a week. So that would have worked out. Just you got to go with the flow of God or whatever. I explained the shelter is a lottery, and there's only like 14 people or something in there, if it's even that many. So what's the chances of married couples both going to win the lottery? And that doesn't open till October too. That's the only kind of thing that God could sort of, I guess, help me, even though I don't like to have that type of personality where you go, but it seems like that's coming up. It's almost like M is helping me, where you go, well, what about if these people are sitting there thinking that you're going to have to crawl back to their shelter and then they see that you never do it? Because I am never doing that. Yeah, I am never doing that. And I remember when we left there, I don't remember who it was, but somebody said something about, yeah, we'll see about never coming back here. And oh, yeah. And then you go, really? You really don't know me very well. You really don't know me very well. I am never going back to that fucking shelter. Okay? And you're a wacko. Have you seen me come back yet? No. Even that woman Casey left there, that should tell you something. Yeah. If she left there, it's as terrible and awful as you can imagine. She went to Pine Street. She was trying to get me to go there. Like she's having the issues with her brain where I think that she thinks I'm someone else. Remember, I told you people do that with dementia? Did we leave the cigarettes and the tobacco out here all night? We must have. I didn't bring that out here this morning. What the hell? We're lucky someone didn't take that. Yeah, we must have. I didn't bring that out here this morning. Whoa. Well, if there's thieves around, they don't smoke. I don't see that tobacco lasting another week, by the way. And I mentioned to him, so maybe I will be able to get my hair color. I mentioned to him when we walked out there to buy tubes, I go, do you think we should get a small bag of tobacco? And he said, no. So we're probably going to end up taking another walk. Let me put this down for a minute.
glass, but the road is back open this morning. The Patriots are gearing up for the start of the regular season, and the team is making moves after cutdown day. They released two key wide receivers. Kendrick Bourne and Javon Baker are no longer on the team. Now we're learning more about the players who will take their spots. 7's Marley Weirda has the story.
You break up with somebody, your girlfriend doesn't want to be with you, and then you say, well,
Start a fire.
I'm not going to get into all that.
Mike Vrabel,
Because I figured you're going to be cold.
series of post-deadline roster moves with wide receiver Kendrick Bourne released from the Patriots after initially making the 53-man roster.
Man, that one hurts. That guy, he brought energy and nothing but smiles. But this is how the game goes.
And Bourne isn't the only wide receiver looking for a new home. The Pats have also released Javon Baker, but their most significant cuts were the ones they didn't make, like keeping safety Kyle Duggar, who is rumored to be traded.
Just trying to get better. No really thoughts towards that. I'm trying to be present right now. Get better at the opportunities I have, better practice, and everything, things like that.
And with a few open roster spots, the Patriots also claiming Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito off waivers. DeVito was a fan favorite in New York following a standout season in 2023 as their third-string QB.
We put a claim in for a couple guys, and would say that just the strength in their roster, certainly in a premium position.
DeVito threw for nearly 200 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Patriots in their preseason game last Thursday. For 7 Sports, I'm Marley Weirda. Still to come on today in New England, a sudden swarm. Why dozens of students in Ashland were sent to the nurse's office on the first day back to class. Plus, officials are issuing a warning about an invasive insect spreading across our state.
Bit of a chill outside this morning, but a nice west wind as well as comfortable air in place this afternoon. Tomorrow we'll track some rain.
And drivers getting a head start on their Labor Day travel. When we come back, we'll share the best and the worst times to hit the road. Boldly beautiful is QX60. Visit Ramsey Infinity and experience 3 rows of top-level craftsmanship. Lease a new 25 Infinity QX60 Lux all-wheel drive, just $439 per month, and get $2,500 Conquest bonus cash on any new Infinity. This is QX60. Visit RamseyInfinity.com.
Menos mal le pasamos al final. Oye, Diego, ¿este es el tuyo? Ese es el mío. Hey, primo, ¿te salió a ti algún negocio? Tú que siempre estás ahí. No. El abuelo te dejó un dinero que no sabía. ¿Para qué pagué yo la cuenta?
Arrienda el J1L 2025 por $299 al mes. Inventario disponible limitado.
Boldly beautiful. This is QX60.
Yeah, how did I not see this thing before?
Visit Ramsey Infinity and experience 3 rows of top-level craftsmanship. Lease a new 25 Infinity QX60 Lux all-wheel drive, just $439 per month, and get $2,500 Conquest bonus cash on any new Infinity. This is QX60. Visit RamseyInfinity.com. If your Labor Day plans involve travel, expect to spend a little extra time in traffic. Experts say the best time to hit the roads before 1 o'clock this afternoon. Worst times to be on the road will be this afternoon, later this afternoon, and tomorrow afternoon. On your way home, peak congestion on I-93. little after time on Monday. All right, 8:15 this morning, taking a live look outside. Nice and sunny out there. A cool, crisp start to the day. And if you do have travel plans for Labor Day weekend, weather's looking pretty good. Yeah, windows down Saturday, Chris.
Oh, let the fresh air in. Brian Diamond. Close the windows being there. It gets a little chilly inside the house. If you happen to leave some of the windows open last night, yeah, it's cold outside this morning. Relative to the time of year, 42 was the overnight low in North, maybe 43. So pretty chilly stuff there on the scanner. What a beautiful start.
This one's going to take forever to process when I'm finally done with it. Oh, the water's hot too, babe. I just started a fire. I just realized when I came out of the bathroom that Brian was awake, so I'm like, oh, I gotta do a fire. I was telling the live stream I was gonna have to start a fire when you woke up. I'm not sure if it was last night or tonight it was 42 or 46 or something like that. It's supposed to be 78 though today. Oh yeah, did you know we left the tobacco and the tubes out on the table last night? I know, I just realized it like 2 minutes ago. I went, oh my God, did we leave the tobacco and the tubes out? Because I'm like, I didn't bring that out this morning. We must have left it out there last night.
Through South New England. Other side of that front, beautiful weather again. Chicago over to Detroit, low to mid-70s this afternoon. That will be our weather to start the weekend on Saturday. Forecast this afternoon, mid to upper 70s outside. Again, some clouds mixed in with the sunshine, but it's a quiet day overall. Not quite as cool tonight. The wind goes more out of the south. I think initially early tomorrow morning it's a dry start. There may be an isolated shower mid to late morning.
I messed up the covers,
midday, from lunchtime through dinner time,
switching
into
out
the evening hours. It's not one of those days where again it's a solid band of rain the entire time, but during that time frame you get a couple passing showers and storms, you get a break in the action, and then another round of passing showers and storms moving on through. A lot of cold air aloft, so we do have the capabilities of seeing small hail and gusty winds with some of the stronger showers and storms that do get going, as well as some downpours that could drop locally half-inch to an inch of rain, but that's scattered about. Not all towns and cities see that amount, as these showers and storms are going to be quite localized in terms of their intensity for tomorrow. So a little bit of mugginess, then we're right back down into low humidity Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You got Labor Day plans this weekend, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, or Monday cookout, or heading out to the beach, or lounging by the pool. The forecast is looking solid, looking pretty bright too, especially Sunday and Monday.
We're staying on top of breaking news this morning. A tractor trailer rolling over on the Mass Pike westbound in Framingham. Taking a live look now. Multiple lanes have been shut down. This is near Route 9, but it looks like some traffic is moving. Paul Exeni back with more on how this is impacting the commute.
Good morning. If you're traveling through the area, just keep in mind, yes, only one lane is going to be moving right now, which has been the case for a little bit at this point. So those drive times have improved. Unfortunately, they did have to shut everything down just to get it back on its wheels, and then they reopened it again. So it's going to vary. I'd say roughly about half an hour to 40 minutes. 40 is a little much there, but let's say about half an hour at this point. You'll notice a lot of residual delays, curiosity delays too, in the opposite direction. So it's all taking place on the Pike heading west, but the opposite direction is going to feel it too, even right by 495. If you're traveling in Hopkinton, you might start to feel some of those residual delays. Same thing, about 20 or 30 minutes right now. And a lot of residual delays too if you are traveling on the expressway, mostly heading southbound. Of course, as you can tell, right by Columbia Road, we did have an earlier crash there too. So multiple lanes were closed off. All of that has since cleared, but it's still taking so much time just to recover. So you're going to feel it there, also inside the O'Neill Tunnel as well. Navigating that commute has gotten better by about 10 or 15 minutes, but still about 40 at this point, close to that too. On the expressways, you're headed into the city. And last but not least, about a half an hour to 40-minute delay for Newburyport train 114.
Still ahead on 7 News this morning. Stung at school. What leaders in Ashland are saying about the bee attack that hurt more than 40 students. And a limited series about Karen Reed in the works, the star actress from Massachusetts who's set to take on the role.
Jesus Christ. People are so fucking insane. Now they're gonna take on a role and be fucking Karen Reed.
Introducing the next generation superfood packed kibble. We make drinks with high quality proteins, live probiotics, and antioxidants and superfoods. Finally, quality dog food to support your dog's ever evolving nutritional needs.
Enjoy the overwhelming relief after Miralax helps you go. Miralax works naturally with the water in your body. Miralax, free your gut to free your mood. For more fiber per serving than any other gummy, try Mira Fiber. So right when I thought Mom would start taking it easy with her osteoporosis, boom, we moved to this cool new place in the city. If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and are at high risk for fracture, Avenity can help you rapidly build new bone in just 12 months. Avenity is the only bone builder that also helps slow bone loss, and it's proven to significantly reduce spine fracture risk. I knew she started taking Avenity when she told her friend it builds new bone.
Oh,
So yeah, we get
you
out,
know?
we explore, and
No, I
whatever
do
that thing
now.
is.
Oh.
Or
I didn't need a whole nother box yet.
Oh, that's the same box?
Yeah.
Oh, because I was just thinking that when I was taking it out. I was like, wow, this is already like, it's either half gone or it just packs itself down. That's the old box though.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot left.
Unfortunately, we'll have to carry that around because we can't leave that.
Report hip, groin, or thigh pain. Unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred with Avenity. Ask your doctor about building new bone with Avenity.
Come on, you
A
whore.
stinging start to the school year for students in Ashland. Officials say bees stung them on their first day back at class. More than 40 students were attacked.
Although it's not the way that many hoped to start the school year, leaders are just grateful the bee emergency wasn't much worse.
I got stung in the ankle. It still hurts right now.
An unbelievable first day of school in Ashland. Students swarmed by yellow jackets in front of the David Mendez School.
I saw kids running and crying.
The buzzing bees flying out of a nest that someone may have accidentally stepped on.
I didn't scream, but I was like, oh my god. So I started running because in behind there was like bees.
More than 40 students were stung, some over and over again.
Some people got stung like 3-4 times. It was kind of scary. There's this one girl who got like 5 of them.
The situation calling for an emergency response
And
from the
right
fire
as
department.
they say something about yellow jackets, what do you think
Students buzzed
happened?
through the rest of the day, but the school
Yep, a
principal called
yellow
for recess
jacket
to be
flew
moved
and landed
inside,
right
so
there on the
exterminators
table.
can
I
take care
went,
of the
oh
bee
my
problem
god, that's so
outside.
funny.
While it wasn't exactly the back to
I
school
guess I'll
logo
shut
this
this off for right now.
Thankfully, no one stung was emergency.
Because that's going to